Hey, I'm back. This is Chandler for Melder Production, and today what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to show you how to create a reverse snare drum sound. Previously, in the last few weeks, I've been showing how to do reverse cymbal sounds. Those are definitely cool, especially for transitions. But for me, reverse snare drum sounds are great to put before a snare drum hit, so it kind of leads into it. So I'll let you hear it. It sounds kind of like this if you listen to the second snare drum hit in this pattern. Okay, so there you go. That's the basic idea. I made it kind of a bit too loud. But the reason I'm doing this is oftentimes if you take a sample and just turn it backwards, that can work. But if you're doing it inside MDrummer, sometimes because of the sample length, it doesn't line up correctly. You can try to delay it. And sometimes you think, you know what, I just want it to be longer. This sample might only be like 200 milliseconds, but I want it to span like, 1,000 milliseconds. So I'm going to show you how to do that by using some kind of like synthesis techniques inside MDrummer. So let's get started. I'll first show you how to do this with just flipping a sample backwards. So in case you want to do it like the old way or manual way, I'll show you how to do that. So we have this, just choose effect 1. This is what we want to use. We have this type of drum sound. Cool. This is a sample, just a single sample, not a multi-sample. So this is actually easy. If you're using something like a multi-sample, this is going to be a bit harder, but right now it's fairly simple. So what we're going to do is just go here, click copy, go to our effect, paste. Now we have this in here, and we're just going to reverse it like this. Boom. Okay. Now we need to see how long is this sample. By moving our cursor up here, you see it's 184 milliseconds, and we need to see what type of subdivision is close to that in our song. So this is going to depend on your tempo, or I guess in tempo here, 97.6. And what I just want to do is just double click on this in delay. I don't actually want to use the delay. All I want to do is just check the times. So here, 400, no. Maybe the closest one might be 16th note. So since it's a 16th note in our rhythm editor, I just want to move this over to a 16th note and see how this sounds. Okay. Oh, that's another thing. When you first put this in here, it's probably going to be low in volume. So what I'm going to do is just click auto gain output just to make it louder. There we go. That's our sound, and hopefully it'll come through here. That's actually not too bad. If you notice that what you're doing is like, it seems like there's a bit of a gap there, and it's just because it's too short, I can use this delay. I can move it positively, but in this case, probably negatively. So let's try about like -20 or so, like this. And that should make up that gap there. Hopefully that's audible. Let me move it up just a little bit in volume just so we can clearly hear that. So there you go. I have that reverse drum sound going into there. So that's how to do it manually. However, the problem is that not only I have to mess with the delay, which can be a bit annoying, but I think it's not so bad. But this is just, in my opinion, too short. I want a longer sound going into that. But the sample itself is short. And like, how do I do that? I could try, pitching it down or doing some other stuff to make it longer. But I think an easier way is to use some kind of synthesis. So what we're going to do is just get rid of that. Let's move this to an 8th note. We're going to use that as our starting, I guess, bass pitch. Ooh, go back in the drum set. Now what I want to do is we're just going to go to synthesizer in. We're not going to do any type of reversing here. I'm just going to go into the editor. You see here we have these two lit up. I'm just going to turn this one off. and go into noise. What we want is to first change our envelope around. Now it's decreasing. The noise is going to go down in volume. I want to do the exact opposite because it's fading in. I want it to increase. Make sure there's no bandpass stuff going on there. Make sure the volume is up. And now we're going to go here, the generator. Okay, how long is this? We want to make sure it's an eighth note, like this. So now we played. That's cool. I'll turn it down just a little bit. Now let's see what it sounds like in the context of the song with just this white noise. Okay, so that's sounding cool. It might be a little bit off. I think there's some swing on here or some shuffle, so that might be changing things a bit. And when you have that, something you might want to do is just adjust some of these settings. Sometimes these things are just like, oh, it sounds better, has a better groove if I move this up or down a few milliseconds, but that's easy. For now, let's just leave it like this. Another thing you're probably noticing is it sounds like white noise, which it is, and that's not what we want. We want it to sound like a snare drum. So I'll show you how to do it. In the previous videos, I showed you how you could do this with, what was it? M convolution, and the other one was M cabinet. I'm going to show you another way here in case you don't have those. We're going to use drum enhancer or MDrum enhancer. Now, what we're going to do is, first off, we want to set it to 100% wet. We're not trying to enhance anything. Now, if we have it like this, we play it, it's going to sound kind of like a drum, but it's not going to sound right like this. Okay, it kind of sounds like just a snare roll. We don't want that. One problem is it sounds like it has reverb on it, and that's because of the sustain. We're going to turn that down. Okay, so we're not getting the reverb sound, but one thing we are getting is it still sounds like a roll. I don't hear that increase in volume, and that's because it's compressed too much. So we're going to take the compression off. We're going to take the gate off. Now let's try it. However, it's low in volume because of that, so we're just going to turn this up. Now let's hear it in the context of our drum pattern. Okay. Now, if that's sounding good, we can move on, but you might be saying like, okay, that's all right, but what I really want is a different drum sound. We can go in here and test out different ones. I think for this probably sounds better. Like that. Let's hear it. Okay. However, you might be thinking, okay, that sounds, good, but I want it to sound exactly like the snare drum sound I have over here. So one great thing is you can actually do that, and all you have to do is just drag the sample in here. So I have this here, this Urban Snare Drum 6, which I'm using, and we're just going to drag it over here. It loads this up, and now we have a different sound. Make sure you're not on your snare drum. Make sure we're on effect 1 here, like this. Okay, and now we're going to do the same thing. Let's listen to it. Okay, there you have it. So there's some other things you can do here that may not be at first, I don't know, all that apparent. One thing we can do is change the pitch. So we have it here. It sounds like this. Move it up. Move it down. So that gives you all sorts of different flavors there. Another thing also is you can go into this envelope and we can change it. So right now it's just linear, but you can have it ramp up like this as well. This might sound better. Okay. This timing, for the most part, okay, but I think I kind of want it laid back a little bit more, but that's up to you. I'll actually show it to you a little bit slower. So if I move it here, for whatever reason, I think it has to do with maybe the processing. It kind of delays it, so it might sound a little bit late here with a quarter note, but don't worry, we can fix that easily here. So if we have this and we're starting on a quarter note now, you can go and try to change that. I probably go in here and just start moving this down until I get it right. Try to drop down like 50 or so. See? I probably need a little bit more. You can also go into here in the drum enhancer and it has this kind of like negative delay. This has to do with the processing. You can try the different modes and see if this helps as well. And see if those kind of get you closer to what you want. Still not getting me exactly what I want. Let's try this. Ooh, not that. That's pretty close. Also, when you're moving this, if you want to get more precise values, just hold Control as you slide this, and it'll move in smaller increments. Let's try it one more time, see if we get it. That's sounding good. That's what I want. You could, of course, adjust this more, but I just hope to give you an idea of some of the things you can do with this. By using this, you can really get, you know, lots of different sounds out of this. By just reversing a drum sound, sometimes you can't really do anything if it's too short, which this sample is. But by using this technique, you can elongate that, or you could just use a completely different sample altogether. And of course, as always, you can go in there and change the pitch or whatever you want to try to get the sound you want. I also didn't mention the character. This will also change things a bit. So if I move it, I'll show it here. There, and you have widening. So depending on the sound you want, you can use those to get exactly what you want. So hopefully that gave you some ideas of different ways you can use this and maybe other ideas you can do with this as well. I use this on snare drums. I think that's where it's most useful, but of course you can use this on toms, bass drums, or whatever you want. So if you like this, give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave those down below and be sure to check out all the